my goodness. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live and Alive with me, Mr. Motivator. And to all you fathers out there, I want to wish you all the very best. But remember, I am Manchester's #1 dad. So let me see if I can hold it out a shot. Now, you didn't come to see me. I'm sure you came to see this lady. So I'm going to introduce you to her. She's a lady who's been by my side for a lot of years. I maintain that she is the kind of oxygen in the tank. She's the yin in my yang, the fuel in my engine, the I in my life. So, who is she? What makes her tick? Why is she so special? I want you to meet Sandra Evans. Come along. Okay. I'm sure it's our colors, isn't it?
Thank you for that introduction. That was lovely.
You're going to have to actually be really nice to me from now on. Keep some secrets, right? Do not tell them everything, right? I am going to ask you loads and loads of questions. No, there's a way in which you have kind of evolved and developed over the years, which I really seriously admire. And I want to thank you publicly for everything that you do. But there are lots of people out there who don't really know much about you because you're never saying very much. And I think it's important that what we do is we talk about things and dispel some of the myths. I know you're nervous and I know you don't want to be really here doing this, but never mind, we're here. You're going to do it. Oh, by the way, if you hear anyone speaking in the background, that's our youngest, and she's actually out of shot, and I'm sure that she's going to be dropping in some words of
the light of your life.
What else?
Just the most amazing child to ever be born. It's okay.
And what else?
That's it for now.
That's it for now. So we're in trouble.
Come up with something else.
Yeah. So I want to dispel some myths because people see you and they think, is she Spanish? Is she from the Middle East? Is she white? Tell me, where were you born?
I was actually born in London, a little place called Edgware, and that was in 1957.
You didn't have to tell me your age.
I don't care.
You don't care, okay.
I don't care.
You just got to brag about it.
Yeah.
And your parents, where were they from?
They were from Jamaica, both of them.
Okay.
And you're trying to dispel what myths?
Well, because people see you and they think, you're not Jamaican or you're not from, there were black Jamaicans or white Jamaicans. Who were they?
My mum's ethnic family, it turns out, it seems to be. They were Irish, Celtic, Scottish, Welsh, and the place that my parents come from in Jamaica is quite famous for the communities that were the original, I'm talking about the original white communities in Jamaica.
Okay. So if I was able to look at your dad and mom, I would actually see a combination of you and them. I mean, was one darker than the other?
Yes, my father was darker. He was,
what, my complexion?
Possibly a little lighter. And my mother looked like a little old Greek lady.
Really?
Yes, she did. She really did.
And really, would they like me?
In what way?
Well, I mean, the thing is you made a choice because they're no longer with us, are they?
No, they're not. No,
okay.
No.
So I didn't get the chance really to get to know them at all, did I?
No, you met my mum briefly just before she passed.
Right, okay. So would they have liked me?
Loved you.
There you go. Endorsement from
they'd have loved you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this, right? In terms of your parents and stuff like that, do you find that you think you have anything that reflects how they are? I mean, are there any traits that you have which is particularly from your mom or your dad? What do you think?
I would say that the fun part of me would be from my dad.
Okay.
And
was he a bit of a Jack the Lad? Really?
Yes.
So that's why he liked me.
That's right. Yeah. No, he was somebody who I think everybody gravitated to. They loved it. My mum's was a lot more reserved.
Right.
But she was sort of like the little old lady sort of thing.
Right. But they're no longer with us. Did they die far apart, close together? What happened?
They both of them had cancer.
Yeah.
And my father had cancer of the lungs. My mother had cancer of the colon, but that metastasized and it went through everywhere. So she also had mental health issues, if you can call them that way, Alzheimer's, dementia, and that all came from that.
Right.
And the funny thing is that she always thought I was her sister in the last
really?
6 months of her life. No, she literally thought I was. She remembered everybody else, but she thought I was her sister. So that was fine.
Because in fact, in our early years of courting, in fact, that's the bit about you that I know, because I remember you used to have to disappear off home to go and look after her, because she
had to manage my days.
Yes.
Yeah, I really had to manage my days. My nights, I didn't have any.
Right.
So I mean, that's basically what it was. You just I had to make arrangements with work.
Yes.
To be able to sort of go home at several times a day.
Sure.
You know?
Because she had what? It was Alzheimer's, yes?
She had that, but it was basically managing her with the cancer.
Right. Does that worry you? The fact that both of them had cancer, does that worry you at all?
No, my sister passed from cancer.
Yes.
It's something that you have to keep in mind.
Yes.
And I'm on it.
Yes.
So I go and have a examination every few years and stuff like that.
Yes. Because that is something that everyone should be kind of worried about, if there's a line where cancer has been quite prevalent.
Yes.
Do you think that's related to the kind of skin tone? Because I know in Jamaica, in that particular area you mentioned, which is St. Elizabeth, there's a lot of people who are your complexion. Do you think that has a bearing?
It would do with skin cancer.
Yes.
I have a lot of relatives who do have skin cancer of some kind, some blood. So yes, cancer seems to be a trait that's within my family, and to certain extended members of the family as well.
But let's dispel all that. We're here, yes? Okay, so let's lighten the load. Okay, so here you are, right? You go through school, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and what were you going to be when you left school?
I actually wanted to be a teacher.
What happened?
I had to go out and earn money.
Oh, yes.
At 16, really, I needed to sort of like help my mum, help support my mum, because she was a one-parent family by that time. My father had found another family, and so I opted to become a nursery nurse. And I went and I did 2 years training, and I got my NNEB, which is my nursery nurses.
And the interesting fact about that, you went to work in a nursery, and you were literally down the road from my offices in the 70s, and we never ran into each other, or maybe we did, but I didn't look at you.
We probably passed each other on the street hundreds of times.
Probably had other women in my eyes at the time. I didn't really know.
Oh, that's fine.
No, I didn't ask if it was fine. I was looking for permission. I'm just saying, right?
No, I'm just saying. Because that's fine. Because, you know, there's
the timing.
The timing. I mean, think about the 70s.
Yes.
The 70s were like a kaleidoscope.
Right. And of colour and...
Of colour and everything. It was quite amazing.
Yes. And so, really, at that time, I was probably just getting the foundation stone so that I became the man that you really would fall for. Is that how it works?
Yes. You got some practice in, didn't you?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So there you were. You're literally about less than a quarter of a mile away from my offices in Cricklewood in the 70s. We never saw each other. And okay, you're a nursery nurse. What kind of situations did you have to deal with as a nursing nurse?
At that time, nursery nursing was actually going through an upheaval in the way that things were done.
Yes.
And so the council at that time, the councils, I should say, were all sort of like looking at different ways of inclusion, looking at ethnicity, looking at all of those things.
Right.
And so it was actually just almost like a big bubble that was just bursting with new things that you had to grasp. So we were sort of like looking after children from all walks of life, and that is including quite a lot of them were from troubled families. Right.
So you're having to deal with a lot of difficult children at the time, or is it difficult family situations?
Difficult family situations.
Yes.
We would have had difficult children, but sometimes it was the parents who were more difficult. So
was it pressure for you at that time when you're dealing with those kind of situations? Did you feel a little bit helpless in that you would probably in a nursery setting be able to sort them out and make them feel wanted, and then when they go home they have to deal with lots of issues?
There was what you tried to do was deal with a family holistically.
Yes.
So you would foster relationships, not just with the children, but with the families. You were always in contact with other entities.
Yes.
You know, so it was sort of like just trying to work it all to make it a safe environment all round for the child.
How many years did you do that for?
About 22.
22 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you meet any kind of personal, did you have personal issues to do with like prejudice, racism? Did you come across it a lot?
In school, I always found that most people thought I was mixed race.
Yes. Was that an advantage or disadvantage?
I wouldn't say either, because you had, with that, you had a different people would look at you in different ways.
Right.
White people knew that you weren't white.
Yes. Black people knew you weren't.
Black people sometimes didn't know what you were really.
Sure.
I always looked at myself as being Afro-Caribbean.
Right.
So it's African Caribbean, but
Right.
in those days it would be Afro-Caribbean,
Yes.
because of my heritage. You
Yes.
know, my parents came from Jamaica.
Yes.
It didn't really matter to me whether my mum looked white or not or anything like that. You know, I had a black ethnicity in the way that I was brought up.
But hang on, but recently you went and did one of those things that I think it was Abigail who first of all went and had it done. And for years I've denied the existence. You went and had it done, didn't
Yeah, I had it done because I'm just interested in it, just to see like where the heritage is.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see how much of me was actually African from which side.
you? Yes.
So I'm still waiting to see
Mine.
how
I'm
much.
not having mine done. No, yeah, but
I was
tell me about yours. Come on.
Mine?
Come on. Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Oh,
I
here
am
we go.
not.
Yeah.
I am not biracial.
Oh.
I am multi-ethnic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, break it down for me.
Absolutely.
Come on, break it down.
Oh my goodness. I have to say that the greater part
Yes.
of my ethnicity
Yes.
in DNA is 40% at least of Irish.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
Irish, Welsh, Scottish.
Not a trace of English.
Not true.
No, that's exactly not a trace of English.
Yeah.
But I've also got another 13% that's Northern and Eastern European.
Right. So Northern Eastern, where's that? I can't figure it out.
So you're talking about France, Germany,
My goodness.
Austria, all of those
Yes.
sorts of areas. And then
Yes.
I'm 22% Nigerian.
No, I don't see any Nigerian in you. There's no way.
Oh, yeah,
Stop it.
absolutely. And apart from that, I have West African, I have Somalian, I have North African.
I don't believe this.
Oh yeah,
You're a cacophony, if that's right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Sierra Leonean.
Yes.
And then I have another 2%, which is Central,
Okay.
Asia and that.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So with all that, did you have prejudices to deal with in the early days?
Prejudices.
Yeah.
It was more overt, I think, in many respects. I mean, I can remember a white lady tapping me on my head one day, just past me, tapping me on my head. I was a child, just small, and so my mum turned around and said, "What did you do that for?" And she said, "Oh, it's for luck." Now you don't know about this because my mother would know that, but apparently it was something that was done. You know, tapped a black person or whatever it is on the head and stuff like that. I had in school it was a hodgepodge of there was a lot of black kids, a lot of white kids, or a lot of Irish children who are also had a lot of prejudices. It wouldn't have been necessarily racism, but they had a lot of prejudices.
And that's ignorance, isn't it?
And because, I mean, you know, it was, my mum went through the period of time where you'd have no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. That was literally on the doors.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know, and so, but there was also from facets of the black community who didn't really know. And I remember one girl I went to college with, and I was quite used to sometimes being alone. And yeah, we got talking and everything. She said, "You know what? I honestly thought you were so snobbish." And I said, "Why did you think that?" She says, "Well, people like you sometimes just are snobbish. You think you're better than the rest of us." And I said, Maybe some people do. I'm not going to say that they don't. Maybe some people do. But
oh, listen,
yeah,
we've come through it. But listen, I want to jump ahead because we haven't got a lot of time, right? But we met, and I'm trying to think, I can't remember the year, but all I know is, right, that
it was 1989 in August.
Okay, and how did that happen? Come on, tell me quickly.
Well, I went to your gym.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of classes, and I didn't like the teacher.
And
so
what?
I went in for the very last time.
Yeah.
Just to say, okay, I'm going to go to another class. I don't like this person. I went to one of your classes.
And bingo.
Bingo.
That was it.
Bingo.
And we were inseparable. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because every class you were there, every outside event I was doing, you were there. Every class which needed setting up, you were there. In fact, Rachel just asked the question, who makes the best cup of tea?
I do.
Yes. Because I don't drink that kind of stuff. That's not what I do. Anyhow, I want to ask you a serious, what are you looking at me like that for?
You don't drink tea.
What tea do I drink?
You don't drink tea.
You drink mint tea. We're talking about a brewed tea that's...
Why are you both hormonally
like
bashing
Yorkshire,
me?
Stop producing it to hormones. Just because
tips.
You make a cup of tea
Yeah.
and drink half of it, and that's it. That's what I have to say.
Right. Okay, the voice from beyond. All right. So listen, okay. So we met, and then it's been a roller coaster since then. Because in fact, you gave up work. In fact, pretty soon after we met, didn't you?
I gave up work around about 95.
25 years of being married. Yeah. And Becky Lloyd asked this question: what is your best life accomplishment after your marriage and family? That's what she said. What's our best life accomplishment? Hang on, Abigail's saying something. What's that?
Oh, you say other than family. I was going to say me.
What do you think it is? That's a pretty deep question, isn't it?
That is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there are so many accomplishments.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily business-wise or anything like that. It's, I think one of the things that I really enjoy is the synergy that we have, but also the energy that we give out to the world in many respects. And I think people give us that as well.
Yes.
And so I don't look at accomplishments as being something that you do and that you go and get an award for, or you get that. I see accomplishments as being personal achievements.
Yes. Okay. All right. I hear that. Now, hi, Sandra. I love having your previous streams every day to use for exercising. Thank you so much for offering all this for free. So they're obviously talking about the motivational stuff.
Oh.
Isn't that great?
Oh,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, let me ask you something else then. Okay. In the years we've been together, what do you think has been the lowest point?
I think having to deal with death.
Yes. Yeah.
And
you're talking about your sister here.
Yeah, my parents and my sister. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all consuming.
Yeah.
If you're a carer, it's all consuming.
Yes.
And it takes so much out of you that you don't realize until it's all over how much it's taken from you.
You know, if you're asking me the same question, I wouldn't have said that for me. I think what I would have said is that point in Jamaica where we got robbed in our home.
Yes, I see it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when we got held up and we were tied up and on the floor and we got robbed and right then in my life, it was the first time I've ever felt kind of homeless, helpless, unable to give the kind of protection I felt I needed to do. But we came through it. And that was the amazing thing, yes?
We came through it. And in many respects, I think you were tied up. You were there worrying about everybody else
who was in the house.
Everybody else. I was with Abigail, not too far. And I actually kind of went into a different phase. I was having to comfort the children.
Yes.
I was having to comfort the other people who were there. I was having to, and for me, it was almost as if I'd come down into a certain, I can't describe it. I just felt that we were going to be okay.
Yes.
I knew that we were going to be okay.
I feel like you went into autopilot. You just kind of went into like this phase where it's like, this is what needs to happen. Because I feel like when it comes to big things, you just get on with it.
Yeah, I just
you literally just like go straight into it.
I'll think about it
automatically you shove the phone underneath me, put a pillow in front of my head and in front of the kids' head, and I just
talked and talked and talked. And this is why I'm having my engagement ring in my mouth.
I mean, I can't believe that, you know, to this day, because I always remember when I actually got myself free, you know, and I was able to release everybody. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, oh, well, we've lost our engagement ring. And I remember that ring, I'd gone to Hatton Garden and had it specially made and stuff like that. And in everything else, how you had the fortitude to actually, I don't know if it's fortitude or just stupidity or whatever it is, to put that in her mouth and hide it.
You held it underneath your tongue, didn't you?
I held it underneath my tongue. And also, I was just praying that the phone wouldn't go off. I hadn't thought,
But listen, we came through it, right?
Yeah,
and actually made us stronger, because I think that happens to us. It does make us stronger. Now, this next question actually is interesting, because what it does, it takes me on to something I wanted to ask you about. Did you keep fit before you met me? Your feet seem to float as if you find the following of your husband very easy. Come on, tell us.
Yes, I did. I actually, I went for a period of time to another gym prior to his, obviously, and I did quite a few years. But when I joined his gym, I was a bit of a couch potato, so it was getting back into it. But I almost know what he's going to do. I mean, after 30 years, you almost know.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and
sure.
it's never choreographed.
No. No.
Never. And you might sometimes see a look on my face while I'm thinking, how do I interpret that in the chair? Because that's okay.
Yeah, I know. Look, I maintain that we are so attuned. I remember us doing that television show, Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
There was not a question they could ask that we didn't get right. And
it was almost embarrassing. Like watching it in the audience, I was just like, oh, they're going to get that right. Okay, they know that. They definitely know that. Okay, they might not know that, but then when you literally got everything right, I was just like, these poor other couples.
Someone's asking, what are you passionate about in life?
Me.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your passionate about?
Oh, so I'm a makeup artist, currently. I'm a makeup artist. I feel like when it comes down to it, I just love teaching and like actually explaining things to people.
Yes.
So I work in a makeup store in the Arndale, and literally my job is to tell people how to use the products and figure out what would work best for them, and so that they can leave feeling like they can do whatever they want when it comes to makeup.
Now, thank you. Go on. What are you going to say?
I was going to say,
have
you noticed your children are all very, very good at presenting? Yeah,
they are. Now, you came into the family when, in fact, I had 2 children already. And in most relationships, in a lot of relationships, when it's like that, it's difficult, isn't it? But I know what the first thing you said to them when you collectively put them in front of you. What did you say to them?
I said I didn't want to take the place of your mothers. That's not my role in your life. My role is to be a responsible adult who will love you and care for you. But you have your mums, and I will be there for you for whenever.
And in fact, interestingly, and I think it's really important, that lesson, really, to every single person out there in a relationship where the children only belongs to one half. It's really important that you never put the kids in the middle. There should never be the instrument that you use to fight. In fact, what it is, you should both be just loving that child and protecting them from any arguments. Now, I'm going to go on to these arguments. Tell them. Have we argued? Ever argued?
We don't need to.
We don't need to argue, right? But today, right? And I hope you're listening. Today, right? Today, we both hate shopping. So today we went into a store that shall remain nameless. Yes.
It rhymes with Schmazda.
It rhymes with Schmazda. So we're in the store, right? And I said to Palmer, I said, you know what? And we're both really getting annoyed all the while walking around. We're not arguing, we're just getting annoyed. We just don't want to be there. And I said, look, I think I need a new can opener, right? And Palmer says, there's nothing wrong with the one at home. I said, well, it doesn't work. So you said to me, it works for you. I said, well, you said, you want to get a new one? And I said, no, if you don't want me to, I'll get a new one. Yes, okay, you can get a new one. And then what do you say to me?
Basically what you said was, oh, well, you can open all the cans at home then.
Did I really say that?
So
I said, I'll call you. The can be opening.
I said, you know, we don't argue. I said, I can just walk home. So we creased up.
So we creased up laughing.
I thought there was a couple of nutters in there because it was just so funny.
And of course, when we came home, she tried to prove that, in fact,
yes,
the cans will open the opener. And guess what? It doesn't work.
So I'm going to go out and look for one now.
So she's eating humble pie at the moment.
What was funny with that for me though is that I was just like, I just wish that Mum had actually walked home, because I just wanted Dad to have to call me and be like, I'm in Schmazda and I don't know how to get to the checkout.
But right now, when we talk about arguing, we've always told people, it's something we brag about, the fact we've never argued. We once had a couple that arrived at our home on February the 14th and in Jamaica, and we were closed and we let them in, didn't we?
Yeah.
And so they came in and there were other people in the home and we said, look, please come in. And we cooked food and we actually entertained them at the end of it. And we had a conversation around the table with everybody, and they didn't know everybody, and about arguing. They said, look, we can't believe it, but they took it away with them. And she wrote a letter, and I want to share this with you because it's important for anybody who has arguments in their life. And I think it's important you just listen to this. I think I may have changed my glasses. All right.
That's the age.
That's the age. It says, there's nothing to argue about. I recently met a most delightful couple, of course I would say that, who have been married for many years. The husband mentioned that they'd never had an argument during their marriage. Of course, the group of which I was a part looked at him incredulously. We didn't believe him. Wonder what your wife would say. So when his wife turned up a few moments later, we asked her if they ever had an argument. She looked a little baffled for a moment and then said, it's true. There's nothing to argue about. And I've been thinking on this for the entire week. This is this lady. I realized that the normal construct for a relationship is that there must be arguments. So the first fight of a new couple is a much heralded milestone. We take it for granted that couples will argue, that it is normal to have disagreements that are so strongly felt that they result in quarrels, withdrawal, and even emotional and physical violence. This is our construct for relationships, and in particular for marriage. Of course, whoever we are in one relationship, we tend to be in others. So arguments are commonplace in our relationships with our children, at work, at church, and at any other group settings in which we are engaged. We live in an argumentative world. But the wife's statement got me thinking, what is there to argue about? And it struck me that if I stop and ask that question every time I'm about to argue, I would likely not argue at all. It only takes one person in a relationship to not argue, for if I refuse to argue with you, then there is no argument. Refusing to argue means that I must turn my energy into finding alternative ways of expressing myself. It does not mean that I clam or shut up, although I may do that temporarily while the other person argues with him or herself. What a wonderful thought, to take the enormous energy we put into arguing and place it instead in creative alternatives for positively resolving differences. There is nothing to argue about. When we realize this, we're on the road to expressing positive and happy ways of being in all our relationships. And that has remained, and you know how old it is now? This is actually 14 years old when she gave us that. And we have not argued, right? And I think it's really important that we see the funny side of everything. There's a question over here. Can I go over here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are the new paintings on your house Miss Palmer's own work? The ones that are behind you on the Zoom classes, they're beautiful. Answer the question, please. Thank you.
Yes. They are, how can I put it? They're just how I feel.
Yes.
They basically are
Sure.
how I feel. And you'll know, I can be doing a painting and I can be doing it for months.
Yes. Or not touch it for months.
And not touch it for months.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's like 10 minutes later it's up on the wall.
And the latest one that's on there is great because you've got material. People that probably don't realize you've got material which you've put on there as part of the dress.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a real good.
Fabric.
Okay, great. Okay, there's another one here. How are we going to celebrate our silver wedding anniversary? I don't know. Maybe send in some gifts, please. One here is asking, who's the morning person and who's the evening person?
Morning.
Yeah, Keris thinks D is the morning person. Well,
See, the thing is, I don't know how you can be a morning person when you don't sleep.
But I do. but think about this.
Not sleep much.
But think about this, right? In terms of sleeping, I reckon that the successful man is the one who doesn't sleep very much. She carries on when other people have gone to bed. And I also feel that my most productive times are when I may wake up, and you've seen me do it, at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, after only going to bed at 1 o'clock. And I actually, it's pouring out of me, either the ideas in terms of what we should be doing. Yes?
Yeah, I fully remember that when I was ill and I was living in the living room
Yes.
and I hadn't slept all night, and then Dad comes in and he's like, I've got an idea. And it was the club.
It was the club. It was the club. It was the club. Okay, now listen, okay, we're running out of time, but listen, okay, high point. What's been the high point of our lives so far? Abigail's put her hand up again.
High point?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's been so many. I mean, how do you differentiate with so many different...
There's been
just absolutely loads.
Okay.
December 26, 1996 was
Okay.
a really good high point.
Right, okay, I'm going to hit you with some quick things before we close off, right? And the first thing that comes into mind, you've got to answer it, say it, and then give me a reason. Walk or swim?
Walk.
Why? Come on.
Because I don't swim well and I walk very well.
Frying pan or potato peeler?
Potato peeler.
Why?
Because I don't cook.
And you've never cooked, have you?
I have.
When?
I made
When?
a curry about before
See
you were born.
what I mean?
I was actually sat here like, curry?
Yeah.
I've never seen you pick
I know.
up curry.
I've never seen it. So in our relationship, I do the cooking, Mummy does the preparation.
That's right.
Drive or train?
Are you train?
Why?
I don't particularly like driving at the moment.
Okay, good. Cruise or fly?
Oh, I like a cruise
Why?
because I don't have to fly.
And also because we've been on some amazing
Yes, we have.
cruises working,
We have.
haven't we?
Yeah.
Wine or tea?
Tea.
Why?
Because I love tea and wine is I don't drink.
Okay. Smile or laugh?
I laugh
Why?
because I can't help it.
Okay, that's great. Listen, we've run out of time. We have really got to go, but there is a part 2 to come up because we have only touched the surface. The idea behind these Live and Alive is just to actually remove some of the layers that exist in our lives, in people that we meet lives, and make them understand that underneath is living, breathing human being. All right. And there are so many edges that we have and so many things that we have, which can be an inspiration to other people. All right. So this is the same lady who's been in my exercise videos from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. She's always been there. And my life would be incomplete without her. It's a bit like, what would I do if I lost my right arm? Yeah. So thank you so much for talking. Thank you for being so open. I really appreciate everything that you said.
Thank you for being home to me.